Hi everyone, it's Elizabeth here. So today I'm doing this video in regards to part 2 from part 1 of how spiritual development takes a lot of time, energy, and effort. In this digital age, we definitely want to develop ourselves very quickly in a lot of different areas of life. I mean, you see this a lot in the weight loss industry where people want to lose weight kind of just like that, and it doesn't necessarily work like that. So spirituality, developing yourself spiritually, does take as much time and effort as anything else in life. It takes as much time and effort as the time that you need to cultivate a garden, or it takes as much time and effort as you need to develop yourself 4 years in college to become, a better and brighter adult ready for the work world. So, spiritual development doesn't happen overnight. It is a process. I'm 33. If I look back at my journey starting at the age of 20, it's been a 13-year process, and I don't regret any of it, the ups and downs that go through life, because that's a part of it. But in the first video, I talked a lot about on cleaning your physical vessel. It's kind of like that detoxification point, in addition to starting some of the exploration journey. I don't think the second half of that video I explained certain things correctly, but you have to first start with cleaning your inner world, and that comes through the consumption of your diet and obviously the type of liquids and water that you consume. Now, people can go down the rabbit hole and get really uptight and anal about, not eating any chemicals and eating all organic foods, and although that's great, sometimes that adds more stress to the body, so just don't get so obsessive over it, but really try to eat as clean as possible. I guess the second step of where I would take people in terms of their spiritual development is that you have to enter a time of questioning. So in the first video, I kind of talked about a little bit like the exploration piece. So I think it is everyone's birthright to question what they're here to do on earth, what their soul mission is, who is God, all of this stuff. My beliefs in God are different today as they were 13 years ago. I always believed in God, but, I always had those questions that a lot of people do on their spiritual journey is like, well, if God exists, why do people die? And why does a 6-month-old baby's life get taken away, and this, that, and the other? And what you need to know throughout your spiritual development is that life on planet Earth is a polarity. So it is a battle between the light and the dark. You can't have the right side of the body without the left side. And you have north and you have south. So you always have these opposites, right? Like the back of two magnets don't necessarily stick together. When you put batteries in your remote control, you kind of have you have a positive and a negative on the same end. So, things are working in polar opposites here. So don't think that through this development of spirituality and ascension that you are immune to the darkness. That's not true at all. You just become smarter and wiser and understand how to navigate the dark energies or people or situations in your life to hopefully, make sure that you don't fall trapped to any of this stuff, because you will be tested. Absolutely. So I think you have to enter that questioning phase, whatever it is. I don't know. I've talked to so many different Christians who at one point in their life they were Christian, then they became atheists, then they became a Christian mystic, and then they just became a full-blown Christian. So it's kind of like they went full circle as well. These things happen. You go through these moments of questioning, and you have to be your own scientist, or you have to be your own scientist or detective in your life to be able to find, I guess, like an answer to your hypothesis or to your question. And when you're doing that questioning phase, like I talked a little bit about in the first video, you really want to sit in moments of quiet spaces with quiet time to have some moments of reflection. This is really pertinent and important. Even walking the Camino de Santiago, it was great walking with people, but I personally found that it was great to walk by myself as well, because there were the moments of contemplation. It was like a meditation in motion to be able to reflect not only upon the journey, but how this journey is affecting your life. So while you're questioning, don't hesitate to find the quiet times of the spaces and times that you need to be able to reflect and think. A lot of people do this with yoga and meditation. Now we can have a completely different conversation on whether yoga is demonic or not. I think that if you're doing these things in terms of spiritual development, physical exercise, allowing the body to relax during some form of exercise so the enteric nervous system and parasympathetic nervous system can get activated and developed more, I see nothing wrong with that. Obviously, if you're, sitting there chanting for certain gods, maybe that's a little bit different. But a lot of people find their quiet time during yoga and things like meditation. So let's see. So on your path to spiritual development, I think it is very important to make a list of things that you are grateful and thankful for. A lot of times in this world of modernism, we are so focused on what we have materially, but I really challenge you to try to think about some things that are outside of your material world. Obviously, if your Maslow hierarchy of needs are met and satisfied, like you have a running car, you have a roof over your head, you have food that you can eat, that is a very wonderful blessing from God because your basic needs are being met. And today it's so easy that you can walk into the grocery store and buy anything that you want, at least I should say anything you want in America, at any time of the year. Obviously, certain fruits like peaches and stuff do only come one time a year, but isn't it amazing that you can pretty much like eat pineapple in December as you would during harvest season of the spring and the summer? So, I don't know, it's kind of interesting that this availability is so easily met today. So where I'm going with this is try to be thankful and grateful for things that are outside of, I guess, either your comfort zone. I don't know, maybe it's a friend. Maybe it's somebody who just checks in on you once a month. Maybe it's your spouse or your wife. Maybe a boss at work who is a really sweet and endearing person that's not like a narcissist like most bosses. There's so many things to be thankful for in this world. And I think when you write down what you're thankful for, the writing is that connection between the head, the heart, and the hand. And so whatever is coming through your head is running through your heart and it's coming out of your hands. And then you can visually see what you're writing down. So it is, writing to some degree is very therapeutic. And then you can visually see all of these different things that you're thankful for. So maybe what you're thankful for on January 22nd is something that you were thankful for on November 26th. And you can kind of use this as like a diary or a log where you can analyze how your thoughts and viewpoints have changed. I've seen this a lot where people are so thankful for their material goods, then once they continue on with these gratitude lists, that completely changes to where it's more heart-based gratitude things like, wow, I'm thankful for this person giving me a ride, to the gym or something like that. So being grateful does change your brain. Once you start flipping your lens on life, a lot of people who do gratitude lists start seeing what their life is filled with and how their life is so abundant rather than seeing life of what is lacking, if that makes sense. A lot of times people, before they do a lot of deep spiritual work, is that they're always looking at what they're lacking. Like, oh, they're lacking either, a nice car, or they have this car, but then they want, the upgrade version to the more abundant, or not the abundant, the more like pricier car, like the BMW or a better model and make. Or people, it's like, oh, their wife wears really nice clothes and my wife is just kind of like kind of plain. So I mean, those are very superficial things, but a lot of times when we're not doing the spiritual work, we're always looking at what we're lacking in life, rather than seeing our life through the abundant lens of being thankful and grateful that everything that we need in life will be taken care of, obviously through being smart, but also through God. So kind of the fourth thing to go along with your development in spirituality, sorry, I have a list here, is actually living the daily life. So everyone's form of spirituality is going to be different. I was, definitely had more Christian roots, and then I kind of dabbled in Buddhism and yoga and Reiki and all these different things. Maybe some of it's kind of new agey. Now I'm like back to my roots. So throughout that path of exploration, it's like I still lived what I preached, whether it was living simply or minimally, or just living through gratitude, or trying to do more things that are heart-based, like giving. Obviously, I tend to give more time and advice rather than just like dumping my pocketbook out to different organizations just because they are, a lot of companies are corrupt today, but we're not going to go down that path. But you have to live the daily life as a spiritual person. That is so individualistic and different for everybody. Somebody who's doing a yoga and meditation might really believe in waking up at 5 in the morning and starting their day with a daily meditation practice. I used to do that, and I'll tell you what, I was so calm and serene in that point in my life. Now I just kind of connect to God and Jesus Christ, and I'm really, content and happy, and I don't have to do yoga and meditation, but I feel like I should do those things to continue the development of my intuition, and also because I sit so much with writing or doing these videos and things like that, that my physical body, gets in pain, that I should keep up more with like yoga and stretching and things like that. But you kind of have to practice what you preach. We have so many hypocrites out there that are hiding behind some spiritual text. It doesn't matter if it's the Bible or the Quran or, some meditation book from Buddhism. It's like they're out running around, preaching and waving their little book in the hand, but then they're complete hypocrites in their own life. Or they're attached to some spiritual text, so they're kind of like religious to some degree. Like I see this even in yoga. They're attached to the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. They're attached to this book, but deep down they're suffering and they're really sad inside because they're not spiritually fulfilled and they're not happy. So you have to practice what you preach and live the daily life as a spiritual person. I don't know, if you see somebody who's struggling, maybe you give the homeless guy $1, or maybe you open that door for that old woman who's having a hard time getting in with a walker. It's like, put this theory into real daily living. And the more you do that, the more you change. You become happier inside. You become less selfish. You think about other people before you, or you think about humanity before yourself. So spiritual development takes time, but you should do these things because you want to, and it should come from the genuine, deep place in your heart. I don't want to use the word goodness because there are a lot of people who are doing good in the world, but they're actually harming a lot of people. That's a whole other topic in itself that I'm not going to get into. So these things should really come from the bottom of your heart to want to do these things. You shouldn't just do the volunteer work at, an orphanage just because you're going to get brownie points of karma and things like that. That is where you're just using things in vain for your own vanity type of thing. Had a conversation a long time ago with somebody at work where we were talking about altruism, and that's kind of a big buzzword because I think a lot of people, especially in the spiritual community, were looking for a partner or friends or a tribe of people that are more altruistic. And that is a great thing, right? But some form of altruism can come from a form of selfishness. And that's exactly what this conversation I had with a former coworker and I talked about. And it made me start thinking about this a little bit differently, because it's like you see so many great bleeding heart videos on Facebook of, say, some people giving like cookies to a homeless person. That's a really nice thing, right? That might have made the homeless person's day, but why does it have to be filmed and plastered all over social media? Is it to inspire other people to do the same thing? Or is it for the benefit of their own ego and vanity, to boost their own personal self-growth, and or maybe they have a business that they're linking to this? That it's like, is this really altruistic? Are you really doing this from a selfless standpoint? All right, so these are some thoughts that I have. If you have any questions or comments, or any, comments on how you've developed yourself spiritually, just know that it is a path. Any path that you walk down in life, whether it's a trail or you're walking beside a river, it's going to go right and left and up and down. So these paths are not linear. It is not a straight point from A to B with one line. There's going to be some zigzags, ups and downs. There might be a log in the middle of the road that's kind of your roadblock and barrier to life. So these things are a metaphor to your path of spiritual growth. But you kind of have to start with where you're at and develop it from there. All right, thank you guys so much. Please like, share, subscribe. If you'd like, you can support me on Patreon, and have a great day. See you later. Bye.